Good day. Today we are going to have a presentation about quality education and climate action. I will introduce my group members. They are Ahmad Supandi Anneke, Oosterlitz Rut, and me, Muller Timothy. I will be today. We are going to talk about the two selected SDGs, what is intended to tackle in the world, definitions, the chosen indicators, calculations, scatter plots, the Excel graph for the indicators, and source of information. I will begin with quality education. What will be tackled in the world through SDG 4, enrollment in primary education in developing countries. That has reached 91%, but 57 million children remain out of school. So, also more than half of children are not enrolled in school in sub-Saharan Africa. An estimated 50% out of school. They live in affected areas. 103 million youth worldwide lack basic literacy skills. 60% of them are women. Gender inequality elimination, and more access of study in universities and education for everybody. Targets of 2030: substantially increase number of youth adults who relevant skills including technical and vocational skills. Eliminate gender disparities in education and ensure equal access to all levels of educations. Further build and upgrade education facilities that are child disability and gender sensitive and provide safe, non-violent. Further, substantially increase the supply of qualified teachers, and then as last we have substantially expand globally the number of scholarships available to developing countries. Now the definitions of quality education and how it's calculated. Indicator: children out of school. Calculated: subtracting the number of primary school age. Definition: primary children out of school. Definition: primary children out of school. Indicator: primary completion rate. Definition: primary completion rate, percentage students completing last year's primary school, and calculated by taking the total number of students in the last grade of primary school minus the number of repeaters in that grade divided by the total number of children in official graduate age. The ratio exceeds 100% due over age. Scatter plot.
Okay.
No.
The scatter plot I will be doing.
Yes.
So if you look at Burundi from 1973 till 2004, in Burundi the number of children out of school increases, and also the income increases. We made a fall. Burundi is a very poor country where millions of children miss school due to war and drought, and also because of the children have to walk far to fetch water for their families. If you see China, the children out of school there are decreasing. You see that in 2003 there's a level up because of the earthquake that occurred in China, and then the children out of school and the income stabilized. It went down because of the government that supported school institutions. In India, you see there's a decrease of children out of school is because that the education there is provided by the government and the public sector. Public and private sector. In Suriname, we don't have that much of children out of school because the education in Suriname is guaranteed by the state. And yes, if we compare these four countries, children out of school and income, only Burundi has the children out of school and the income is also not stable. The other countries had stable income and a decrease in children out of school. The scatter plot of primary school completion. Burundi, you can see a decrease in income and increase in children and number of completion. It's because of the drought and the economy is also weak there. In India, you see that the country has an increase in both income and primary school completion because the education is provided by government and private sector. In China, there is an increase in the income, but the decrease in the number of school completion because of the massive earthquake they had. In Suriname, you see a fluctuation. But overall, in our country, the most children, they complete the primary school. So we can say we have a compulsory education system here. Conclusion, Burundi has the least of primary school completion compared to the other countries. In the histogram, children out of school, you can see that the least out of school frequency of 15 and the less out of school increases. It increases a little, but not too much. For lesser out of school, it drops to 5. The frequency for most children out of school is 95, between 100 and 90, so it's a very high frequency. This can be caused by parents who don't have money and afford their children to go to school. In this graph, you can see we included Suriname, and then you can see the difference between Suriname and Colombia. The primary completion rate. In this graph, you can see that the category completion, we have 8 countries, less completed 7, and more completed 33 countries. The minimum out of the children are 34%, then that is recorded in Chad, and in Brunei, we have the maximum of children out of school is 117%. Here we also included Suriname because there was data for Suriname here. So then you can see that Suriname and China has primary completion the most than Burundi. Okay.
Climate action. That is the second SDG goal that we want to highlight in this presentation.
Yes.
With climate action, the world government, they want to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Climate change is now affecting every country on every continent. It is disrupting national economies and affecting life, costing people, communities, and countries dearly today and even more tomorrow. What will be tackled with this SDG goal in the world? The governments want to tackle hunger, poverty, exclusion, inequality, insecurity, and migration.
Yeah.
The targets that are set for 2030: strengthen resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related hazards and natural disasters in all countries, integrate climate change measures into national policy strategies and planning, improve education, awareness raising, and human and institutional capacity on climate change, implement the commitment undertaken by developed country parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and also to promote mechanisms for raising capacity for effective climate change related planning and management in least developed countries and small island developing states, including focusing on women, youth, and local and marginalized communities.
Yeah.
The definition of climate action is and how it's calculated. We have two indicators that we have chosen, and the first one is extreme temperature affected annual number, and the definition for this indicator is total number of people getting affected, injured, or killed in extreme temperature during the given year. The second indicator is extreme temperature deaths annual number. The definition is number of people killed in extreme temperature during the given year. We have a note because we have searched for information how to calculate both of these two indicators, and we couldn't find the calculation, but in a file we had a remark: these indicators on climate change adaptation and mitigation have been proposed but are often difficult to calculate and disseminate regularly because of considerable data gaps, particularly in developing countries. The indicators on the impact of climate change and disasters have been produced by the relevant international agency and also within countries. These challenges, for example, includes difficult measuring targets, limited connection with existing goals, targets of development frameworks like the MDGs, lack of access to data collection and monitoring tools. So a lot of countries have difficulty because they don't have the tools or the data. So these indicators are cannot be calculated. And here is an explanation how the income is calculated.
Okay. The graph for the climate action scatter plot in gap minor. You can see in China that the income increases, but the income in increased extreme temperature, there isn't any effect. However, in 2008, you see there's an effect, and that's because the earthquake that China had.
Yeah.
In India, they don't have extreme temperature also, but the income surely increases. Brazil, we chose Brazil because Suriname had no data for extreme temperature. That is why, because we have a tropical humid climate. Brazil is similarly the same in the extreme temperature. It has nearly effect on Brazil, but the income, on the other hand, you can see that it increases. The United States, the extreme temperatures had little or no effect. As you can see, it stays in a straight line. If we compare all these countries, only China had the extreme effect in 2008. The graph for extreme temperature kill in China, again, the earthquake. In India, you see that when you play the evolution, you see an increase and the decrease as it moves. Yeah. Brazil, the income increases and there is no extreme deaths. In the United States, you have an increase in extreme death because there you had in Chicago, you had a drought, not a heat wave, and that caused for many people to die. Okay, the histogram, as you see, the lower we have, you can say 27, 28 countries. The low, you see less killed, you see there's much of it, 8 countries. Lesser killed, you have 3 countries, and most killed, you have 8 countries.
Yes.
So it's not extreme.
In the last two tables, the last two graphs, we see that China in year 2008, just like Anne said, China has the most effectual number of people affected and injured or killed. And in that's also the same